Twine Talk Show. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. Of course, no better way to start this show. I mentioned this last week when we had the technical difficulties. We got Champions League semifinals to start with. Can't ask for anything better, and boy, especially yesterday, did they deliver. Before we even get into this first game, I would just like to say, if you ever have a friend, family member, somebody who doesn't exactly understand or fully appreciate this sport, this might be the best game I've ever seen to show them. And I say that not only because of the drama, but just the simple fact that aside from that 10-minute period in the second half after those first couple goals, where it kind of felt like both teams were taking a breather, this was non-stop end-to-end action. It felt like a basketball game, and very, very rarely do you get that in this sport. I love this sport for other reasons. It's not basketball, but that's essentially what we got. I mean, I was trying to keep track of key moments and stuff, and I figured that'd be easy enough to do. You know, you get one every 5-10 minutes or so, and this game, I mean, it was just unbelievable. There was chance after chance. It was wide open. Ultimately, Manchester City 4, Real Madrid 3. And I want to start with what I believe is the single most important takeaway from this game. And it's a simple one, but it's one that is extremely, extremely important moving forward. And that is that Pep Guardiola did not overthink this. Of course, this has been his MO, particularly in the Champions League, particularly late in the Champions League. He tweaks things, he decides all of a sudden he's going to do something different and take away his team from doing what they do best. And it's just the basic logic of my team is better than yours. I'm going to let them do their thing, and I'm going to make you adjust to us. He has this tendency to allow other teams to dictate what he does. We've seen it time after time again, particularly Lyon, and then last year Champions League final, he just doesn't start Rodri. We saw none of that in this game. Rodri in there from the start, and Gabriel Jesus scores 4 goals over the weekend, so Gabriel Jesus is going to get a start too. And guess what? He played really well, scored another goal. He's in terrific form. And the result was a breathtaking performance going forward. Even without 2 key players, who I want to save that for a little bit later. But it's not like this was even his preferred 11. But it was a logical 11. The guys who needed to be in there were. He filled the holes the best way he could. And they looked unbelievable. Now, they didn't take all their chances, which gets into the other part of this, which is, I mean, this should have been 5-2, 6-3, 6-1, 6-2. Could have gotten 7. In one sense, if you're Manchester City, you're incredibly frustrated because this should have been put away and it wasn't. And Real Madrid can absolutely turn this thing around when they head home. On the other hand, though, the gap between these two teams in this game was, I mean, it was miraculous. It ended up only being a 1-goal difference in the end. The other thing I want to get to here before we sort of go into the looking forward and second leg kind of stuff, I just want to throw this out there. Kevin De Bruyne has never finished higher than 8th in Ballon d'Or voting. I was looking that up during this game just because I was curious after he, almost single-handedly won it in the first 10 minutes with a goal and an assist. I was curious because, I didn't remember him ever being a finalist. Of course, it's been Messi, it's been Ronaldo. You pop up with a guy here or there. Lewandowski's been starting to get that love these past couple of years, rightfully so. Would have had my vote last year. I have long held the belief that Kevin De Bruyne is, without a doubt, the best midfielder in the world, and he should have one, as should N'Golo Kante. If Jorginho can be a finalist, with all due respect to Jorginho, who's a very good player, because his club team won the Champions League and his national team won the Euros. If that's the basis we're going on, what are we doing? Because none of these other midfielders who are on a whole nother level than Jorginho are getting that kind of love. Now, that's probably going to change this year. We've had two of the three guys that seem likely to be vying for this in this game in Benzema and De Bruyne. You can also make a strong case for Mo Salah. We're going to have to see how things play out because this is where I'm to the point of, okay, results do make a difference in this now. They can't matter that as much as they did for Jorginho. But if Benzema wins La Liga and then wins the Champions League as the most informed striker in the world, he's got a real solid case. If Salah gets the quadruple, or even say Champions League, FA Cup, League Cup, he's probably going to win it. If City win the Champions League, De Bruyne's got an incredibly strong case too. All I'm saying is there is something incredibly wrong if that man is not a finalist this year in that top three, because it should be those three guys. Just wanted to put that out there, and hopefully you'll join my cause. The other big development in this game, and to me the other part of this story as we look toward the second leg, is the impact of Manchester City not having their outside backs. Yes, it's Manchester City. Nobody's feeling sorry for them. I get it. And I made this point in my match recap for match report for on my Substack. They don't have like for like replacements for Kyle Walker and João Cancelo. Yes, Alexander Zinchenko is a left back. In that sense, he is a like for like swap. But he is not João Cancelo. João Cancelo is arguably the best left back in the world and the best going forward. I don't think that's a question. That is something completely different than Alexander Zinchenko, who's a very good player and I like. And then, of course, on the right side, you've got an even more serious situation because when Kyle Walker doesn't play, it's Cancelo. You don't have either of them, so all of a sudden John Stones is playing out there. Then John Stones gets hurt, and all of a sudden it's Fernandinho. And the minute Fernandinho came into the game, Real Madrid said, okay, that's where we're going. Vinicius, your turn. Fernandinho, of course, gets the assist, plays in a great ball, and then immediately Vinicius burns him minutes later, and Real Madrid have an answer. Not Fernandinho's fault. You would like to think that Kyle Walker would be able to get back into that play in some way, shape, or form. Now, he got beat bad. Maybe Kyle Walker doesn't even get beat that badly. It was clearly an issue in the game from a defensive standpoint. That's not what Fernandinho does. He should never be asked to play that position, particularly against a guy who's, 15 plus years younger than him and has got all kinds of pace to burn. That was asking for trouble. But the other part of this is this game was played on Real Madrid's terms. And this is where I come to my feelings in the second leg and how this is ultimately going to play out. Right? It was the chaos, it was the individual moments, I can't understand how this team found a way to stay in this game, but they did, and oh look, Benzema did a thing again. He did it twice. That's what this was. It did not look like Manchester City in terms of the control and the possession. Of course, they had plenty of possession. But the slow connected passes, the sort of just driving your opponents to boredom and just wearing them down by making them chase the ball, that wasn't here. It was quick transition. And of course, they've got the players to do that too. So it was going back and forth, and they still were better than Real Madrid at it. But I want to submit, a lot of that has to do with the fact that you didn't have your two fullbacks who are so good going forward and so good in possession, particularly Cancelo. But Kyle Walker gives you all kinds of things too, right? He allows you to have that width going down the side so that your winger can tuck in, to combine with your midfielder on that side, all kinds of different things. Those two players were specifically picked by Pep Guardiola to play in his system. He sought them out. Those were not guys he inherited. He knew he needed to get better at those positions. That was one of the first things he did, and Kyle Walker was that guy. And then the left back wasn't really working, so he went and got Cancelo. So when I look at what happens when this goes to Madrid, I'm taking Manchester City all day long. Absolutely, Real Madrid can do this. They kept themselves in. They just needed so many individual moments of brilliance to do so, which they have been, to be fair, they have been pulling out throughout this Champions League run, right? They had that spurt against PSG and that spurt against Chelsea, dominated the first leg against Chelsea, and then when it looked like it was falling apart, they found a way to do it again. But can they put two right? Can they put that leg together when they looked so bad in this one? Can they put a 90-minute performance together? Because that's what it's going to take. 30 really good minutes and a couple goals is not going to do it. I don't want to rule them out or downplay clearly this ability they have to just find ways to make things happen in this never say die attitude in this competition. When Manchester City is playing like this and not beating themselves and not overthinking things, to me it's just disrespectful to suggest that somehow Real Madrid came away with this holding the upper hand. Now, were they the team that would take this result more and feel better going into the second leg? Sure. But that could have been 5-1, 6-1, 6-2. And you're going to get at least one outside back returning for the second leg. And this is the part of this I will end on. And we'll get to the second game. I'm a big believer in the concept of narratives when it comes to sports teams, particularly in knockout competitions. NCAA tournament, for example. And the one specific example I always go back to is Virginia. That Virginia team that won the national championship right after they lost to the 16th seed, UMBC. What was the narrative surrounding that team and that program? They don't score enough points. They're so bad offensively, they can't get it done in the NCAA tournament. What people, by and large, failed to realize is that national championship team was top 5 in the country in offensive efficiency. Something changed. That's when I go, okay, I'm disregarding the past. If I see something different, those narratives, because I'm a big believer that they are absolutely true until you actually change something. Until I can see a difference, I'm going to keep assuming the same thing is going to happen. It's the way I feel about PSG to a certain extent, though I thought that thing may have happened, and it appears it did not. Pep Guardiola letting his team do their thing and not over trying to play to the opposition. Now, we'll see what happens second leg. If they make it to the final, we'll see what happens there. Because the final is where it happened last year. But if this is the Manchester City we're getting moving forward, I feel incredibly confident they get this done. Now, Liverpool is just simply on their level. So if that ends up being the final, different conversation. But I'm to the point where unless something changes and they go back to old habits, I am willing to disregard just about anything Manchester City's done in the past in the Champions League. To me, last year's run said something. There's another lesson to be learned there, and they appear to be learning it. I'm taking them second leg, no hesitation. Speaking of Liverpool, our other Champions League semi-final, Liverpool get the 2-0 win over Villarreal at Anfield. This game was shockingly similar to Everton over the weekend. First half, the opponent does a terrific job and finds a way to just be obnoxious, really fundamentally sound defensively, and keep Liverpool in check. Not many chances. Thiago fired a rocket from 30 or so yards that hit woodwork. That was the best chance Liverpool had. So you're very impressed with Villarreal at halftime. Rightfully so. And then the second half comes. Liverpool gets 1. Liverpool gets 2. It ends 2-0. And it's really not that competitive by the final minutes. The exact same story as Everton. By the way, speaking of Thiago, here's your fun fact for the day. In this game, the farther he passed the ball, the more accurate he was. It's one of the more incredible things I've ever seen. He was perfect on his long passes and slightly better on his medium ones than his short ones. Absolutely remarkable. So Villarreal did exactly what you expected them to do and what they have been doing that's been leading to their success. Nothing changed from Villarreal. What changed is their opponent. And that's really all I have to say here, is to make this point. Because we know how excellent Liverpool is. They were expected to do this. They did exactly what they were supposed to. But think about this. Villarreal did this to Juventus, albeit a reeling Juventus who is not Juventus of old. And then to Bayern Munich. This exact same thing. Neither of them managed to score 2 goals across the 2 legs. Liverpool got 2 in 3 minutes. But that plan worked for all of 50. And then Liverpool figured it out and just kept coming and said, we're going to wear you down and we're going to break through eventually. Right? Bayern couldn't crack the code after 180. Neither could Juventus. That is the gap between Liverpool and Manchester City and everybody else right now. Because there's an argument to be made Bayern is the third best team in the world. I'm not there. I don't actually think they are. But there isn't exactly somebody else who you're looking at going, I am... And to be fair, it's probably Real Madrid. But there's nobody else you're looking at going, I really think they can give those 2 teams a run for their money at this moment. PSG has the talent to, but PSG is still being PSG. And that first leg did not convince me that Real Madrid can do it, because they were nowhere near the same class as Manchester City. They just happened to only lose by a goal. These 2 teams are just a complete level ahead of everybody else. And I think sometimes it's hard to quantify it. It's obvious when you look at them and watch them that they are a step above everybody else. But that's one of the things that struck me about this game, is that Villarreal is a perfect sort of constant to evaluate this on. Because they don't change. They're doing the exact same thing. They played well. It just didn't matter. And they lost by 2 goals instead of winning by 1 or more or getting a draw out of it. Because it's Liverpool, not Bayern, not Juventus. Also, this is Unai Emery's first loss in a European competition as Villarreal manager in a single game. He had not lost a single game as Villarreal manager. They didn't lose. Yeah, they didn't lose at all. And in the Europa League last year, en route to that final, and they also in the knockout. I should clarify. They did lose in the group stage this year, but knockout stage on. He has not lost a single game until now as Villarreal manager. Awfully impressive. I mean, they gave you exactly what you expected. An admirable performance, an organized, valiant effort that in the end was not enough. And so Liverpool is in position to finish this thing off. But this could have gotten ugly. And it felt like after those 2 goals right at the start of the second half, Liverpool was going to run away with this thing and put the semifinal to bed right then and there and kind of render the second leg irrelevant. Didn't do it. Credit to Villarreal. They got organized defensively again. Yes, it could have been 3, maybe even 4. But you feel like 2-0 is a pretty fair scoreline. And so all it takes is that 1 goal. If Villarreal can strike first, that could get real stressful for Liverpool. Especially with no away goals, just straight up, you give up the goal, you give up 1 more, and all of a sudden you're going to extra time. Villarreal can do this. I put their chances as even less than Real Madrid, just because Real Madrid has proven so much in this competition. But we got a all-time great first leg, and then the other one was, basically what we expected. Liverpool get the job done. Not always pretty, but ultimately they get the 2 goals and are in position to advance yet again to the Champions League final, and we are still got 90 more minutes to play on both ties, but we are we are on our way to Manchester City, Liverpool, if things stay the way they are right now. We're going to take a very quick break, regroup for a second, and then we will be back to do our NWSL season preview with the regular season starting this weekend. Just kind of an update on how things have gone in the Challenge Cup and what to know about these teams as they begin their regular season this weekend. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere.